You've also done a bit of modelling recently. How did that come about?
Yeah, so it's quite funny. I modelled when I was very tiny, and then I modelled again when I was a teenager. But when I was a teenager, I actually really hated modelling. I never really wanted to do it, but I was tall and skinny, and it was just one of those sort of things that, you know, you're constantly told, oh, you should be a model. So I used to do these sort of slightly ridiculous shows for like Dickens and Jones in Regent Street, where they'd put you in a sort of old lady's country casual outfit, which is probably very Prada now, but, you know, you'd be in a tweed skirt and a sort of hacking jacket, watching old women kind of like drinking cups of tea and having sandwiches. It was all very sort of salon, but they paid you a lot of money. But I got out of that by basically giving myself a crew cut. I went to Vidal Sassoon and told them to chop my hair off. So then I got the sack, which I was quite happy with. And then sort of over the years, didn't really think much of it. Would get asked by designers if I wanted to do that again, but it's a bit like, not really. And then I think one of the turning points was that I sat for a picture for Lucien Freud, and that made me sort of weirdly sort of more aware of my body and also less concerned about it, which was quite a sort of odd experience. And then people would start asking me again if I would do it. And then, you know, I did a couple of shows for friends, and then Sophia from 10 contacted me and said, oh, I want to do this shoot, and it's this and that, and, you know, what designers, and you kind of be styling it, and I'll help you. And I said, oh, who's the model? And she's like, well, you are. I was like, what? So, yeah, so I got 10 pages in 10 magazine, and also the front cover of 10 magazine, actually, with a panda balaclava on, which was quite funny. And then the one that I did with Sophia was a couture shoot, which was just amazing. I mean, when the 2 Margiela couture coats arrived, like on their own stands, kind of wheeled in, it was quite a surreal thing to actually feel like, God, I'm going to get to wear these. And, you know, some, you know, Dior couture and all this type of stuff. Yeah, that was quite amazing. And then Jordan Luca, whose shows happen during menswear, and they always end up happening either the day before or the day of my birthday. So it becomes a bit of a sort of day trip out to Milan on my birthday to do a catwalk show and then have a McDonald's and come home.
You don't see many mature models, pardon the word, but yeah, well, how do you feel about that? Do you think there should be more?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely, you know, it's sort of like, you know, this idea about more inclusivity and a bit of diversity on the catwalk and stuff like that, which I definitely, you know, felt like I'd hit it at the right point, especially weirdly when I then stopped dyeing my hair and just sort of like let it go grey, because I was put forward a lot for like advertisements and things like that for beauty products, and they would then be like, well, can you send some pictures and can you do this? And then they all question my age and be like, no, we want somebody who's in their 50s. And you're like, yeah, like, hello, which is sort of flattering, but also not so flattering when you think actually they were going to pay me quite a lot. But there's still this odd thing where I think in the industry where you are, I don't know, they think they want somebody who's in their 50s, but actually what the art director or whoever's looking for is somebody who's probably in their 60s or 70s. Like, I think probably in my grandmother's time, you know, somebody who was in their 50s or 60s looked a certain age, and now we kind of, men and women kind of don't. So so that's interesting. And then also there's the whole thing of a lot of designers, especially on the catwalk, they'll use an older model, but they tend to be an older supermodel, for example, or they're you know, a very slim older woman. They're not necessarily somebody who's a bit bigger. But then we still have a problem, I think, on the catwalk with putting anybody who's a bit bigger on the catwalk anyway. There's still, you know, 4 or 5 curve models who just seem to be the same girls that do it. And then you meet them and you're like, well, you're not, you know, you're not that big. You're also like, you know, nearly 6 foot tall. So there's still sort of problems on that side of things. And on the male model side, I mean, you just don't see it at all. Or you see Sam Smith and then you just see the internet go slightly insane in a very negative way about it. So yeah, so we've still got a long way to go.
And that diversity was something you were pushing even back at Sibling as well. All your shows were super diverse.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for, again, like, especially like working with Matthew Joseph and with Katie Grand, it was, why wouldn't you have a show that also resembled your sort of friendship group, you know? So there was, it felt very natural for everything to be diverse. It wasn't that like, you know, oh, you're selling in Asia, so therefore you need to, you know, you should have Asian models, or you do. It was just like, we just wanted it to be a good mixture of people. And the thing that I had the most problem with, actually, with model agencies was trying to get this sort of idea of these sort of like buff male models. I wanted them to look like Versace models from the 80s. I wanted Avedon kind of guys, and I would be getting sent to castings. We'd be getting sent these like little slim androgynous, and it's like, no, that's not where we're going. This is what I'm after, and that's why the male models that we used, we sort of had about, you know, up to about 10 guys who'd be on sort of like rotation, who started calling themselves the Sibling Squad. And they were guys who did Men's Health or GQ, but they were doing the swimwear issue or stuff like that. They were not bodybuilders, but getting towards that kind of side of things. I just wanted everyone to look like they could handle wearing a sparkly cardigan in a pub.